Members, we are at announcements and adjournments in memory. I can't proceed until members take their seats. Please take your conversations off the floor. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Members, can we please have silence in the chamber? Can we please have silence? Please take any remaining conversations off the floor. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Speaker Emeritus Atkins, you are recognized at your desk for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today I ask the Assembly to adjourn in memory of Raul Cadena. Raul tragically died on Saturday when the SUV he was riding in was involved in an accident near Lake Henshaw, north of San Diego. He was on his way to Borrego Springs with Boy Scout Troop 59. His son was in another vehicle. Raul was only 49 years old. He was an attorney with Cadena Churchill, LLP, who specialized in class actions, employment law, personal injury, and mediation. He's a past president of the Consumer Attorneys of San Diego, and he sat on the Board of Governors for Consumer Attorneys of California. He received his BA degree in sociology from Harvard University, studied the economy, society, and politics of Spain in Madrid, received his law degree from UC Berkeley's Bolt Hall School of Law. He sat on the Board of Directors of California Rural Legal Assistance, was involved in San Diego's Pacific Beach community as an active member of the Congregation of St. Andrews by the Sea Episcopal Church. He's a past president of the Parent-Teacher Organization and as a school site council member at Crown Point Junior Music Academy Magnet Elementary. He was a member of the Board of Directors for the San Diego Council on Literacy and the National Conflict Resolution Center and a member of the Harvard Club of San Diego. Raul was a devoted husband, a father, brother, and uncle. He contributed his time, energy, and treasure to countless community causes, from his local school to the causes and people in need in neighboring Tijuana, to the Boy Scouts, and on many other issues, the arts community. He was a passionate believer in the ability of government to help and protect those who need it the most. He was an avid runner, swimmer, and cyclist. Despite all of his accomplishments, his friends and colleagues knew him as a modest and understated, wonderful and decent human being. I ask that we adjourn in Raul's memory today and extend our deepest sympathy to his family, friends, and colleagues.
Thank you, Speaker Emeritus. Ms. Baker, you are recognized from your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask today that we adjourn in the memory of Ted Hoffman, Jr., who passed away on May 30th. Ted was a resident of Dublin. He was born in Philadelphia, where he was the oldest of 7 children, and he became a star professional bowler very early. In his teens, he was the youngest bowler in the world to achieve a perfect 300 score game, and he was only 16. His professional bowling career included over 100 Professional Bowlers Association tour events, 4 second-place finishes, and 2 regional titles. And in 1968, he decided to curb his professional career and stay home to help raise his children and moved to California. He started then as the Professional Bowlers Association regional leader and acted as the Western Regional Director for over 20 years, where he was elected to the Executive Board and the Investment Advisory Committee. He was awarded the first Pat Patterson Award in 1972 for his outstanding contributions to the Western region, and he won the award again as recently as April of this year. In 1985, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame for meritorious service, which was one of 8 halls of fame to recognize him. He eventually became president of the NorCal Professional Bowlers Association and a board member of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. And his continued involvement in professional bowlers community earned him the 2010 Victor Lerner Memorial Media, the association's highest honor. On a more local level, Ted Hoffman was the owner of Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl. And that's where Kate and Alex, whom you met this morning, learned at a very early age to play bowling, and where a lot of playgroups and birthdays are, where a lot of teams are playing and come together. He was a board member of the Dublin Chamber of Commerce and also of Dublin Rotary for over 25 years. He regularly contributed to our local community by donating free bowling games to students all summer long, so they had the great place to gather safely and fun team sport. And he was very supportive of the Dublin Rotary, hosting a multitude of events there to raise funds for our local community. He donated bowling games to our schools, to the library, and again hosted special events at his bowling location. And he really made sure that the bowling alley was accessible to those of all abilities. When my kids were young, they were in a playgroup, and one of the playgroup members was in a wheelchair. And he made sure that the friend of our family was able to participate in bowling just as much as my children. And when we would go, sometimes I just with the kids, we would see that there's an adult day center for those with developmental disabilities who would weekly come to the bowling center. And he made sure that they had all the equipment they needed to have complete access to the game and the sport and enjoy it. Ted was also very much into travel. He just completely loved to travel, and he really enjoyed golf. He loved spending quality time with his wife Marilyn, his sister Kathy, his brother Ed, and his 4 sons, Ted, Tim, Chris, and David, and his 7 grandchildren, Natalie, Jack, Nick, Camille, Allie, Evan, and Quinn, and his 1 great-grandchild, Jackson. Ted will be very fondly remembered in our community for his commitment and generosity, and I respectfully ask that we adjourn in his memory today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to petition this body to adjourn in the memory of Mrs. Verna B. Doderive, who passed away on June the 1st at the seasoned age of 93. Ms. Doderive was a longtime Los Angeles resident that was a part of the black migration that brought African Americans from the Deep South before the Second World War to find expanded opportunity, and she certainly realized that opportunity. She happened to be from the state of Louisiana, and for those who are familiar with the narrative, there's a large group of individuals native to the state of Louisiana who made their way to Los Angeles. She and her husband, Peter, were achievers, and they did a great deal to empower not only African Americans but young people across this state. Ms. Doderive was a state commissioner appointed by 2 governors to the California Teacher Credentialing Committee and the California Women's Commission. She began her work in education that lasted some 6 decades in the Los Angeles Unified School District as a rank-and-file educator, then as an educational administrator. And when she began with the Los Angeles Unified School District, she was the youngest teacher at the time and one of only 4 African-American instructors in that district. She came to distinguish herself, along with her husband, Peter, also in philanthropy, particularly as it related to USC. At one time, not more than a year or so ago, she made what was the largest donation by an African American in the United States to endow a chair of distinguished teaching and a student fellowships and scholarships at the University of Southern California. She was integral in advancing minority development at that university and was one who promoted its Black Alumni Association. Her late husband, Peter, who died roughly in the year 2002, I believe, Mr. Speaker, was the founder of an African-American bank now known as One United. When he founded it, it was called Family Savings and Loan. Then it became Founders Bank, and made sure that he and his wife were engaged in a great deal to promote economic opportunity, advancement, inclusion, and the like. Ms. Dautrieve and Mr. Dautrieve did not have biological children, but they touched the lives of so many young people, including myself. They were dedicated to community. They were true servants. It's with a heavy heart and deep pride that I ask that this body adjourn in the memory of the late Verna Dautrieve. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Jones Sawyer, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I, too, rise in memory of Verna Dautrieve. I'm just sorry that none of the members here had an opportunity to meet her. She was an extraordinary woman. She and her husband, the fact that they were able to give $30 million to the University of Southern California so that we could do research in interdisciplinary studies so that we could look at human condition in our community is extraordinary. The fact that in our community, many of us didn't even know they had that financial capacity, but that's how humble and great these individuals were. I met Mr. Dautrieve and Ms. Verna Dautrieve when I was president of the Black Alumni at USC, and I found out early on how committed they were to not only education of minority students, but how committed they were to the African American students that were there at USC. The building that they built, a magnificent $30 million building that they built on campus, brand new building, is an edifice to what it means to succeed in America, but more important, what philanthropy is all about. And those two individuals exemplified that in our community in ways that I think we may never see again. And so I stand with my friend just west of me, the assemblyman just west of me, to honor the Dautrieve family. They both will be missed, especially Ms. Dautrieve. If you ever met her, you wouldn't miss her. She was one of the sharpest dressers in Los Angeles, and she was a force of nature. When she entered a room, you knew she was there. And so I too stand to honor her at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones Sawyer. Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are again recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would rise again to ask that this body adjourn in the memory of Mr. William Klung, who passed away on June the 2nd, 2016. Mr. Klung was tragically shot at the UCLA campus, and he was a beloved mechanical and aerospace engineering professor, husband, and father of two. His loss is mourned by the UCLA community and greater Los Angeles for a number of reasons. Because he was at his job, doing what he loved, serving the people of this great state, and was taken much too soon. All of the public record that we know of Mr. Klug's work is focused on help. He advanced complex biological systems through biomechanics to fight HIV and cancer cells. He was the director of a research group, a private research group that studied the structures of biological shapes and the mechanics that affected their function. He sought to advance the cause of healing. He was a devoted community man and compassionate in his work. And in a senseless act of violence for someone who was clearly disturbed. He was taken much too soon. He leaves behind a devoted family, a grateful community, and an appreciative state that is quite sorrowful to have lost a leading light. With that, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Westwood community, which I have the privilege of representing, I request that this body adjourn in the memory of William Klug. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ridley Thomas. Mr. Hadley, you are recognized on this adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And I join my colleague from Los Angeles in requesting that we adjourn in the memory of Dr. William Klug, Bill Klug. Bill spent most of his life in the South Bay. He and I and our families attend the same church, Journey of Faith Church in Manhattan Beach. He died just short of his 40th birthday. So, as my colleague said, far too young. Bill attended and graduated from some of the best public and private educational institutions in California. He's a graduate of Palos Verdes Peninsula High School in my district. He received his bachelor's degree from Westmont College in Santa Barbara. He received his master's from UCLA and his PhD from Caltech before he joined the faculty at UCLA. Probably the best story I can tell you from our church about the kind of man he was is that he attended the one-week summer Christian camp at Hume Lake that so many of the children in our church attend. So for most of our parents, including my wife and myself, this week of camp has been a time to take a break from our kids while they're taking a break from us. Bill would attend Hume Lake with his kids and spend the week there, not just with his kids, but with the other kids from our church. So I ask that we adjourn in his memory.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Dr. Wood, you are recognized from your desk for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And I rise today to ask that we adjourn in memory of someone who was long missing but not forgotten, Private First Class John Saini. Private First Class Saini was born in 1923 and grew up in the Alexander Valley, not far from my home, of a wine-growing family. He was one of more than 1,000 Marines and sailors who perished 73 years ago during a 3-day battle on the Japanese islet of Bacheo in the Tarawa Atoll. He died on November 20th, 1943, at the age of 20. Saini was one of many Marines buried hastily in battlefield graves. Shortly after the war, many of those graves were excavated and the remains moved to national or hometown cemeteries. But some of the Tarawa graves were not found. It crushed the parents of Mary and Mike Saini to be notified not long before 1950 that his remains had been declared unrecoverable. They would still be lost today were it not for History Flight Incorporated, a Florida-based nonprofit committed to using technologies such as subsurface remote sensing and painstaking research tirelessly able to locate and repatriate the unaccounted-for remains of Americans lost to 20th century wars. His body was discovered earlier this year, one of 35 Marines discovered on Tarawa, on Bacheo in Tarawa. He was given a full, proper military funeral on Saturday and laid to rest in his hometown of Healdsburg on June 11th. He's survived by his nephew and namesake, family friend, John Saini, and his niece, Lisa McDowell, who were born a decade after he lost his life. I ask that we adjourn today in the memory of Private First Class John Saini.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Members, we are still awaiting action from the Senate on SCA 14. We will remain with quorum call in place while we wait for the completion of that action in the Senate.
Thank you, Assemblymember Linder. File item 61, SB 837, aye to no.
Linder, Senate Bill 837, aye to no.
Linder, SB 840, no to aye.
Linder, Senate Bill 840, no to aye.
Okay, members. Please come to order. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized for your procedural motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 56 and allow the Appropriations Committee to notice SCA 14 Wolk on Wednesday, June 22, 2016 at 9 a.m. pending re-referral from the Rules Committee.
Ms. Waldron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We oppose the motion and ask for a roll call.
Thank you, Ms. Waldron. Ms. Waldron is withholding unanimous consent. Mr. Calderon moves. Mr. Gibson seconds that the rules be suspended. Members, this is a procedural vote. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who wish to vote. Mr. Calderon is asking for an aye vote. Ms. Waldron is asking for a no vote. Requires 41. The clerk will close the roll. Ayes 50, noes 27. The rules are suspended. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. The session schedule is as follows. Friday, June 17th, no floor session, no check-in session. Monday, June 20th, floor session at 12:45 p.m. Members, please note that special early time on Monday. Floor session at 12:45 p.m. Seeing and hearing no further business, I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Jones Sawyer moves. Mr. Patterson seconds that this House stands adjourned until Monday, June 20th at 12:45 p.m. Quorum call is lifted. Go Warriors.